So just my sort of academic history is I started out with a physics degree, did my MBA at Macquarie, and now have started a PhD here at Western Sydney University on entrepreneurship. I was the CEO of realestate.com.au and spent about 20 years working for US tech companies, including Salesforce.com, Cisco Systems, Red Hat, and Symantec. I founded 6 technology startups. 3 of them were absolute car accidents, and plenty of money lost. One was marginally a success. I think I made $200 million in 14 weeks and then lost $199 million in 14 weeks, give or take. I guess the point I say all of this is not to big note myself, but to highlight the fact that all of the people who are mentors and entrepreneurs in residence in our programs have real world hands-on startup experience. And I think I want to start that by saying that's, I think, one of our core differentiators. We've got heaps of scar tissue as what it means to found a startup, to raise capital, to fail in a startup, and we bring all of that experience to bear in the course of our programs. If at any point you've got any questions as we go, there'll be time for questions at the end and a bit of a Q&A. But also, if you've got any questions as you go, just feel free to put them into the chat and Mabel will point them out to me. I want to start with just our mission statement as far as accelerators are concerned. And I think this is important. Again, I think it's a differentiator for us here at Western, which is we're very much around a holistic approach to acceleration, and we're very much around sustainability. So, and what we mean by that is a lot of accelerator programs are focused just on the business that you are looking at this moment in time, whereas we look at you as a 25 to 30-year career potential as an entrepreneur. So we're looking at giving you skills that will serve you beyond your current startup, first and foremost. So we're very much around sort of providing that level of resiliency for you as a founder so that you can deal with the ups and downs of the startup journey. And when we talk about sustainability in a business sense, it's less about environmental sustainability and more about building healthy, desirable, profitable businesses. So businesses that will sustain themselves and don't need a lot of external capital if you choose not to. So we're very much practically focused around sort of growing you as a founder, but also making sure that your business is healthy and built on a really solid foundation. Why would you come to Launchpad to complete a program? So as I sort of mentioned, we're very focused on founder care and development. So we really create a personal approach to helping to accelerate you. There are a lot of questions that founders come up against that are really sort of personal development, like how do you work with teams? How do you deal with conflict? How do you deal with failure? How do you deal with stress? Are you sleeping well at night? So we talk about a lot of those things in our founder development program. As I mentioned, every single person who delivers into our program has founded a startup and typically failed at it, but also have had some successes. So we've got a really rich team of mentors who bring really different perspectives, but hands-on experience. We are a part-time and flexible program, which means that you don't need to quit your day job. We are designed specifically so that you can be studying or working and still participate in our programs. And I'll talk about our delivery mode later, but it's mainly remote and it's mainly at times when you can get away from work. We have a bunch, being a university, we have a bunch of resources and capabilities available to us that a traditional accelerator doesn't. I currently am sitting in our engineering building at 6 Hassel Street. And in this building, we've got, mini workshops, we've got 3D printers, we've got additive manufacturing, rapid prototyping capabilities. So we've got access to a bunch of physical resources for those people who are looking at creating hardware prototypes. But we've also got a depth of research in potentially medtech with our relationship with Westmead Hospital. We've done work in space and neuromorphic engineering. So we've got a bunch of, I think, unique differentiators being being a university. And then lastly, we've been doing this for 4 to 5 years. So we've got a very extensive alumni network, people who've been through the program before, and a really strong community that sort of, really provides people both a physical community, whether it's in one of our launch pads or our virtual community, which I'll talk about in a moment. So who should you be? What is the ideal participants? So firstly and foremostly, I would suggest that one of the myths we want to bust is that entrepreneurs are the same shape and size. So, I've seen entrepreneurs of all different styles and backgrounds and approaches. I think diversity in entrepreneurship is increasing and will continue to increase, and there's no right or wrong pattern. But I would say that we take sole founders. So if you're just working by yourself, or if you're a team, we don't mind. But you really need to have something to work on. So you've got to have an idea or a selected product or service or an area that you want to explore. We do have a program that helps people to come up with ideas, which we've just completed, and I'll mention it briefly, but our main programs are for people who know what they want to work on. You can be a student, you can be an academic at the university, or you can be working full-time. We are a non-granting, non-equity taking accelerator, which means that we don't provide money and we don't take equity in your business. We're purely an educational and acceleration institution. So it's competitive to get into the programs. So we obviously take applications and make selections, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But really, why would you come here? Because you want to genuinely accelerate your business. So this is about learning the skills and having the capacity from real world entrepreneurs who've grown multi-million-dollar businesses in order for you to sort of replicate or learn from those successes and really move the needle. So, we're not here about, getting you funding, even though we think fundings, can be important. It's not about providing you with, this extensive network. It's really about giving you the fundamental skills, techniques, mentorship to move your business. We also ask that you're in one accelerator at a time. So if you are thinking about joining other accelerators, that's okay. But if you're in our program, which runs for 12 weeks, we want you exclusively in our program. And the reason for that is just we want to make sure that you've got the time to focus on what we're asking you to do. So just quickly, we have 3 programs. Given the fact that we're called Launchpad, we love hokey space metaphors because we are non-imaginative people at times. So our 3 programs are called Pre-Flight, Ignition, and Booster, although I did fight for different names, but they're the ones we got. Our Pre-Flight program is a pre-accelerator that runs for 2 days, and it's mainly for people who don't know if they want to be in the startup space, don't know if they've got an idea. So we focus on, idea generation and selection, and we give them a short experience. We've just completed a 2-day pre-flight. But what I'm really here to talk to you about today is our 2 main programs, which we run twice a year. So we have, just moving this chat screen here. This just popped up. We've got our Ignition program, which is a startup accelerator, and then our Booster program is for more mature scale-up programs. Both programs run in this delivery pattern. So we typically run about 3 hours per week of online time. So on Mondays, typically at 4 o'clock towards the end of the day, we do a 1-hour group mentoring session. Then on Wednesdays, this is online. Then on Wednesdays at 12, we typically do the main curriculum delivery. So that's a lunch and learn where it's predominantly lecture or workshop style. And then on Friday morning, At about 8 or 9 o'clock, we do a founder development breakfast and weekly checkout. So they're the three main events. So Monday afternoon group coaching, Wednesday curriculum delivery, and then Friday morning founder development. In between those times, you have an opportunity to book mentors on a one-to-one basis. So we've got in any program at any one point in time, we've got about 4 mentors who are available for one-to-one coaching and mentoring, and that's booked on demand. So, that can happen during the week at a time of your mutual choosing, depending on the availability of a mentor. And it's probably the highest value component of our programs. So that ability to speak one-to-one, with an expert and really work through your specific problems and challenges. We then have, so all of that's done online and remotely. We then only have 3 to 4 face-to-face sessions at our campus here in Parramatta, in a nice shiny new building. They typically run a half day, and it's where we do a really condensed activity where we get everybody together. So we might bring in a specialist guest to talk about, conducting user interviews. We may do a session on prototyping. We may do a session on capital raising, but we'll run 3 half-day, month-to-month sessions where we do a lunch, and we get everybody together here in Parramatta. And then depending on the program, we get everybody back for a showcase, demo day where people can kind of show their progress if they're in an early stage program, or provide a pitch to VCs if they're in a later stage program. So just covering the content. So as I sort of said, 3 programs in total, 2 which are probably most relevant to the people on this call. So the Ignition program is for what we call early stage businesses. Your entry point, so the prerequisite is having a well-defined business idea. So if you've attended our pre-flight program, or if you have an idea to work on, then you would be eligible to apply. And we're really not looking at the quality of your idea, but whether or not we feel that we can impact you as a founder and that you can learn something. At the end of the program, so after 12 weeks, we would expect you to be in a position to be able to build or specify for somebody to build your product. So we go through in this program, value proposition design, business model design. It's heavy on problem and solution validation. So gathering the data to make decisions on your on the viability of your business. We help you with prototyping and wireframing, and then we give you an introduction to your options with respect to software development. So this is a program that starts on the 3rd of August and runs for 12 weeks. Each one of these weeks is typically on that Monday, Wednesday, Friday pattern. We then have a booster program. So the booster program is for later stage businesses. So if you have a product built already with traction, so i.e. you have customers and users and or people paying money, then this program is for you. And it's really focused on experimenting with your business in a live environment. So we look at go-to-market strategies, pricing strategies, sales strategies, how to do growth hacking and marketing, developing your product roadmap and maturing your product out, advanced capital raising, how to manage investors, and then building your team and your board. So we'd expect that when people come into that program, they're really looking to exit with substantial traction around one of their traction metrics. So, more users, more monthly recurring revenue, potentially more funding. So that's kind of the focus there. Then I spoke briefly about our Friday sessions, and we feel that founder development is just as equally important as commercial development in our programs. And so we run a Friday morning founder session where we're focused on you as a founder. And we cover a bunch of things around sort of energy management, time management, managing your direction, and also looking at high performance mindset. So that curriculum typically looks something like this, although it moves around, but but talking around, dealing with stress and anxiety. How do you switch off? How do you deal with conflict? I mean, one of the things that I've seen in the course of my career has been founder conflict and tension really destroying good businesses. So, how do you de-link your identity with your startup so that, when it fails, you're not going to be as emotionally damaged as you would under normal circumstances. So, that's something we feel is a very big differentiator for us, and really equips you with the skill and capability to really, I think, move beyond just a single startup, and to kind of look at entrepreneurship as a career. In terms of support, I think we've got, one of the best support and online networks in any accelerator. We've got a really, really strong community. We've got a product called Launchpad Live where a lot of our resources have been recorded. There's community, there's, mentoring, questions. It's really a great virtual platform for us to connect. We've also, as a community, we've got some special deals in place to help defray your costs. So we'll bring in experts that provide you with some information around, IP, grants, legal challenges in a startup, Amazon credits, a bunch of benefits from software providers for startups, which we've uniquely negotiated if you become a member of our program. Plus, we've just got amazing facilities. So as part of your time in the program, we've got desk space that you can use and kind of drop into any of our launch pads where you can sit and do some work similar to sort of a WeWork environment. Just some actions. So applications close next Wednesday, the 27th of July, and final offers will be made on programs on the 29th of July. So if you are thinking about applying, getting quick, it takes about, what do you say, Mabel, about 10 minutes to fill in an application form? Yeah, about 10 minutes.
Very quick.
Yeah, pretty quick. So go to launchpadlive.com.au/accelerators and you'll find our landing page and where you can put an application in. As part of just your preparation, if you were to be successful, the kickoffs for the Ignition program is Wednesday, the 3rd of August, which is a half-day face-to-face induction here in Parramatta, and the booster program start is 2 weeks later on the 17th of August, which is going to start with a half-day face-to-face induction here. Can you apply now? Absolutely, you can apply now, John Teague. Any questions at this point? Either take yourself on mute and you can ask me directly. I promise I don't bite. Alternatively, you can just type in the chat if you're shy. Wow, everybody's quiet. For a bunch of prospective entrepreneurs, I'm concerned. Come on, team. Are there costs? Great question. No, it's free. It just costs your time. So we are one of the only university programs that is open to the general public. It is competitive, so you do need to put an application in, and we select applications on the basis of merit. So we think our ability to impact you, not the quality of your idea. So even if you've got a sketchy idea and you're not sure, you would still be eligible to be selected and put in the program. We're about educating you and driving that through. So there's no cost, so we're free in terms of that, except this is going to cost you time, right? One of the things we also help you prepare for is the New South Wales Government MVP grant, which is a $25,000 match funding grant for eligible companies. And we talk a little bit about that in the program, so that if you get through Ignition and you've got wireframes, you are able to potentially brief out a developer and use some of that cash to get your product developed. Alan asks, as an academic, what if there is a clash with teaching times? the same as I think anything, which is really, you know, do your best to make it. If you can make it, you can. If you can't, you can't. We're running at the same time every week for 12 weeks. So it's a Monday at 4, Wednesdays at 12, Fridays at 9 a.m. is typically the structure. If you can't make all of them, but you can only miss one or two, that's usually okay. But if you're not going to be making a significant one of them, it's maybe not the right program. Any more questions? Come on, team. I know you've got some questions.
For the business model, do we follow a template that you have, or just submit our own business model?
Yeah, so you mean for the application?
Correct.
Yeah, no, just whatever you've got, because we want to see sort of what you're working from. So in terms of the program itself is a very well-refined curriculum. So it's something we've been working on for, you know, a number of years. I'm really pleased with where the curriculum's at. If you're coming with an idea, we take you through, you know, we think that startup success is more science than art. So yes, there's a bit of timing and there's a bit of luck associated with it, but a lot of it we feel can be gone through in a process. Our process is very research and interview heavy, so making sure that your customers actually want to buy your product. I wrote a book a couple of years ago called Unicorn Tears: Why Startups Fail and How to Avoid It. As part of that book, I went and spoke to about 600 startups. And look at this, my publicist over there, Mabel's holding up my copy of my book. If you were to join one of our programs, you might be able to get a free copy. Look at you. My mum's still trying to give them away, I'm telling you. So the research out of that book is that the number one reason why startups fail is no market need, right? Yeah. Now it sounds strange, like why, like no market need, but a lot of people are building products that are unvalidated, and they don't kind of meet that threshold. So that's where we're heavy. But for your application, to answer your question, Sam, just give us what you've got, and we will go from there.
So in the program, help do the research, some market research. Is that what you're saying? Beg
your pardon?
So in the program, you would assist with market research.
Yeah, so there's 4 weeks where we are doing validation work. So that is going and assembling a panel of people that you want to talk to, telling you how to write interviewing questions that are unbiased, looking at problem validation and conducting those interviews. Then going through and confirming against those validated data whether or not you should persevere, you know, pivot or perish. So yes is the answer. We do a lot of work on that. It's one of our core things. Jiju, I think I've got correctly. Would traditional business ideas be considered for the program? Depends what you call traditional. What do you mean by traditional? Bricks and mortar? Do you mean like a small shop? Only digital businesses? I guess we're looking at anything that is trying to find a market. So I think one of the definitions we would say is, Steve Blank, who is an author of a book called The Startup Owner's Handbook, defines a startup as a temporary organization in search of a scalable, repeatable, profitable business model. And so once you've found a scalable, repeatable, profitable business model, you're not necessarily a startup, you start to mature. So what we do in this program is help people with ideas, whether that's a traditional business idea or a high-tech idea or a product or a service. We help them to explore the problem so that they create a solution that is really solving something valuable. So yeah, that's typically what we look at. Any questions? Any more questions? I mean, this is
I
something.
have a
Yep.
question.
Yes.
Hello, Jamie. How are you?
Good. I'm trying to see who's speaking.
I'm actually on my son's iPad. I joined the pre-flight last week.
Okay, fantastic.
So it's actually Kareem speaking here. I don't know if you remember me, but I was sitting right at the front.
Yes, I remember you.
In construction, yeah. Sorry,
I-
because I'm out, so I'm just on my other son's iPad. He's
No
the only
worries.
one that had Zoom, so apologies for that.
No, that's okay.
So basically, I just want to ask, you mentioned the days and the times. If you could repeat that for me so I can just put it in my notes and just so I can try and work my my classes around those.
Yeah, so it's the 3rd of August kickoff. And we
3rd of
typically
August
run,
kickoff.
yeah, and we typically run Mondays at 4 p.m.
Mondays at 4 p.m.
Wednesdays at 12 and Friday mornings at 9.
Wednesdays at 12 and Friday mornings at 9. And how long do they typically run for?
1 hour.
1 hour each. Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jamie. Appreciate it.
That's okay. No worries. So Zimbabwe, it's going to be tough. We need to talk about, Belinda, how we manage that. So maybe contact Mabel, and we can have a conversation about what we do around having people. The remote sessions is no problems. The problem is the face-to-face sessions, and whether or not we could do something locally for you in Zimbabwe. But Mabel, can you take a note? And Belinda, can you contact Mabel to have a conversation around whether or not we could accommodate? I don't know if we can to accommodate, unless we've got a Western Sydney University person in Zimbabwe to deliver. It's going to be a challenge. Any other questions? This is your opportunity.
G'day, Jamie. How are you?
Hey, I'm very well, thanks, Steve. How are you?
Really good. I was just querying if you were in between. So we've actually physically just about finished building the app, but we haven't got customers. So we're in that void between the two launching pads. Where would we stand there?
Good question. So the real question I ask, so I see a lot of people in your state, and I typically say go and apply for Ignition, even though it's going to take you back and revalidate out value proposition, business design, business model, etc. Often I see, thanks, John, appreciate it. Often I see people come and they've got software built, but they haven't got the validation. So, you know, it's worthwhile shoring that up. If you're completely sure that your software is, you know, validated and you've got all your marketing, you know, validation in place, then you're going to waste your time in Ignition, and it's worthwhile waiting for a booster program to come along. I would still suggest put an application in, and I will speak with anybody who applies one-to-one, and kind of go, yeah, look, I think you're way too advanced for this program, or no, you'd benefit from it. So if you're undecided, apply, and you get to speak to me. I mean, which is frankly in itself is it's priceless, frankly. But for you guys, special price of $0. So yeah, so Steve, if you're keen, let me know.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Alan.
Yes. My coming from the viewpoint of a service, because one of the areas which I've been involved in the construction industry as an expert in durability, and over the last 12, 18 months, I've had people call me and say, can I do an asset assessment of a very large chain of hotels, for example? It's sort of very embryonic, you know, because it's dipping my toe, but I thought this would be probably at the startup would be the best stage, because it's probably going to put the application in and see where you've CRM, because I found there's a lot of opportunity. I've done some market research. There are many companies who lack durability experts, and there's an opportunity there. So, but just as if they want to use an external person, it's probably one they need to assess.
Yeah, short answer is, I think the first question you asked is, will it work for services businesses? And the answer is yes. And is it early stage? The answer is yes, I would say.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
So I would apply for Ignition.
Excellent.
If I was you.
Thank you.
Definitely. And yeah, services businesses we do a lot of. I'm probably a specialist in service business design.
Good.
So we can talk about that. We've got a question here from Raj. Thanks for the insights. I have a patented idea which I'm planning to commercialize and completely new to the process, not sure where to start. Ignition is pretty much where to start. If you've just got an idea and a patent, then you need a business. And what we really do, one of the three things we kind of talk about is the intersection of desirability, viability, and feasibility. So, do people want it? Can we make it? And is it worth it? Right? Are the three stools of what we're thinking about. Now we look at desirability first, which is, are you actually solving a relevant, valuable problem in the customer's eyes? And I would say that 80% of businesses that we work with fail in that area, right? They've either got they're shopping for one, which is they're only got their own ideas, or they just don't have enough really robust data to say that they're solving a problem that people are prepared to pay for. Feasibility, we work with a lot of businesses that potentially are engineering driven. So the feasibility is, can we do it? And in a lot of that instance, we're not going to be able to help you until you click over that requirement. So if you've got a medical device that needs FDA approval, if you've got to pass a test, whatever that is, you need to do that first before we go into commercialization. So in sort of feasibility, if you've got some questions around that, let us know. And then viability is, it's a great idea, we can do it, but we can't make money out of it, or it's not sustainable, right? So that's about building, a robust business model that is, that is attuned to the cost of acquisition and a bunch of other things. So that's really the program in a nutshell, right? We're really looking at balancing those three dimensions out. So the question to you, Raj, is, depending on the idea, depending on the industry, whether it's hardware, software, and where it's in its life cycle, if you're just starting out, and you've got enough of an idea to create a patent, then I'd say Ignition is the best program for you to apply, and we can have some conversations around that. Hopefully that helped. Any more questions? Otherwise, I will close things off. Wow. Hopefully you guys aren't this quiet when you come to attend my class. I like a bit more of a ruckus. Team, it's an amazing program. I'm not going to sell it to you. At the end of the day, you've got to want to move the needle, and you've got to want to develop and improve yourself. I would say that most people have a great idea, hardly anybody executes on it. And I think that if we teach you anything, it's like, it's not necessarily about the hustle, but it's about getting started. So if you're sitting on the fence and you've been thinking about doing something about your idea, this is a risk-free, cost-free exercise, for you to work with some of the best entrepreneurs in Australia, to work out whether or not you should even pursue your idea. So, my advice would be to take advantage of that. We will give you some honest feedback in the application process. So if you're not sure, apply. We'll give you a little mini coaching session as part of the application, which is clearly $500 worth of value just there, plus $28 for my book. At this point in time, it's just a bargain. We're just giving it away. We're throwing in steak knives, you name it. No, it's totally free, but we really want people. You're going to take up a place. So we want people who are willing to commit the time and the work to the program. So, we just want to make sure that if we give a place to somebody, they're going to make maximum use of it. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I look forward to seeing your applications. If you do have any further questions, Mabel, who sent out the invitation, is there to answer them for you. Alternatively, there's information on the Launchpad Live site. And yeah, launchpad at westernsydney.edu.au is your email address. Excellent. Looking forward to seeing you. And yeah, have a great week. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Take care, team. Bye.